It's only 167 kilometers long and approximately 34 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, and yet it's one of the most contentious places on Earth. Often referred to as the jugular of the global economy, it's called the Strait of Hormuz, and it's located between the Arabian Peninsula and Iran. So why is this strait such a political flashpoint? Well, it's the busiest waterway for the world's oil industry. Most of the ships sailing through carry oil and gas from all of these countries to the rest of the world, including key markets in Asia, Europe, North America, and beyond. This map on the Marine Traffic website shows naval traffic around the world in real time. And as you can see, the Strait of Hormuz is a major choke point for marine traffic. And it's a small strip of water that can be controlled, blocked, or otherwise disrupted as a deliberate political maneuver. The actual shipping lanes within the strait span only a mere 3.21 kilometers, but an average of around 21 million barrels of oil pass through the shipping lanes every single day. That's about 20% of all global seaborne crude. Saudi Arabia, Iran, the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Iraq export most of their crude via the strait, with the largest exports coming from Saudi Arabia and Iraq, while Qatar, the world's largest liquefied natural gas exporter, sends almost all of its LNG through the strait. So it's no wonder tensions flare up from time to time in the area. On one side of the strait are the UAE and Oman, both of which have strong ties to the United States and Saudi Arabia, while on the other side is their common enemy, Iran. Both Iran and Oman share territorial rights over the strait, and Iran has used the strait as political leverage, threatening at times to close it, often as a reaction to U.S. sanctions against its economy. But strait-related politics is nothing new. The 1980s saw what was called the Tanker Wars, that was a main feature of the Iran-Iraq War. During that time, the warring sides tried to sink each other's energy exports. Iran placed sea mines in the paths of ships, and Iraq fired missiles at them. The U.S. took to escorting its ships through the contentious waters. The last major U.S. naval battle with Iran was in 1988, when a U.S. warship shot down an Iranian airliner, killing all 290 aboard in what Washington said was an accident, while Tehran maintained was a deliberate attack. Over the past decade, a series of threats, attacks, and seizures took place between the opposing sides. The strait has never actually been closed, and it's highly unlikely that Iran will actually shut it down completely, because its own economy also heavily depends on oil shipments through the strait. The strait has also seen infringement by smugglers in its waters. Most recently, the strait came under the spotlight once again. When 2 tankers were attacked in June, the price of Brent crude jumped $2 whole. The U.S. blamed Iran for the attacks, which Tehran categorically denied. A few days later, Iran shot down a U.S. drone flying in its airspace. Then in July, Iran's detention of 2 British-owned oil tankers escalated tensions with London and Washington. The U.S. has recently been putting together a new coalition, sending up to 8,000 extra troops to the region, along with warships, planes, and other missile defense systems. But tensions were already on the rise after U.S. President Donald Trump unilaterally withdrew the U.S. from the Iran nuclear deal and imposed crippling sanctions on Iran. The deal was reached in Vienna in 2015 under the Obama administration and included Iran, the 5 members of the UN Security Council, and Germany. There's a reason why the strait is called the jugular of the global economy, and tensions around it could cause huge ramifications.